This is just one chapter of the Stories with Sapphire podcast. Hear this story and others like it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. Hello, believers, non believers, and everyone in between. You're listening to Stories with Sapphire. I am Sapphire Sandalo. Now get cozy and open your mind because it's story time. Revenge of Dad's New Girlfriend, submitted by Nanely. Hello, Sapphire. This is a very painful story to me. To this day, I am scared of going back to the country I grew up in because of all that happened. So my mom and dad always had their differences. Growing up, they were constantly on and off, and I learned to not get in the middle. So when they finally divorced, I was able to remain very close with both of them because I stayed out of their drama. Then, a few years ago, when I was 20, I was living with my dad while I was attending college. Also living with us was my dad's new girlfriend, and she and my mom did not get along. They fought a lot. One fight happened when my dad was showing his girlfriend my childhood home, which is where my mom lived. My mom and my dad's girlfriend got into a screaming match that ended with his girlfriend promising that she would make my dad kick me out of his house. That didn't worry me. I knew he would never do that to me. Which is why it hurt so much when a few months later, he surprised me and did just that. I went to live with my mother in my childhood home. So up until that point, I had always been really healthy. But when I moved in with my mom, I inexplicably became frail and sick. I would faint. I was extremely dizzy all the time. I couldn't even sleep. No doctor could explain what was causing this. Apparently, I had low blood pressure, but they couldn't figure out why. A friend of my mom half-jokingly suggested we go to a curandera and referred one she knew. I was sure she would be a scammer, but I figured we could check it out since I was not getting answers from anyone else. I don't remember much about the day we went to see the curandera. I remember arriving, then an empty slot of memory, and then me sitting next to my mom and her friend while the curandera talked to us. She gave us a candle and instructed us to put it in a pan, pray, and go to sleep. In the morning, we were to bring it back to her and she would interpret the melted wax. So we followed her instructions for the candle. Seemed simple and harmless enough. The following morning, I was really eager to see what we'd find in the pot. My mother and I looked at the wax, and I had never been more terrified in my life. In the wax was what looked like screaming faces all over. In the center were two figures. The first one looked shockingly like me, with a side part, same face shape, and everything. Behind me was a taller, scary figure. It was humanoid, with 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head, but not quite human. We hastily took the melted wax to the curandera, and she examined it closely. She said that a woman in my dad's life had placed a curse on our house, that there was a demon involved, and no matter what, it was going to take someone, and it wanted me. This scared the crap out of me. I didn't care if she was making this up. I no longer wanted to live in that house. So I moved out and found my own place. Funnily enough, my health actually started to improve, but my luck was terrible. My mom, who was now living in my childhood home alone, would tell me of the strange paranormal events that she had begun experiencing. She said that one day she found all the doors inside the house were destroyed, as if something had scratched them till they fell off their hinges. She sent me horrifying pictures, but we still tried to rationalize it. She would also have nightmares and see shadows around the house. And then the worst of it happened. A couple months after I moved out, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. She hadn't had any symptoms until then. Throughout her illness, my dad's girlfriend would make fun of us and say that my mom was sick because she messed with her. 3 months after her diagnosis, she passed. And in the last days she was alive, my mom kept begging me to ask my dad to do something to lift the curse. She was convinced the curse was taking her life. I think the same. I can never be sure if it was my dad's girlfriend who was responsible for all of this. But a curse like that doesn't come without a price. Where I come from, it's said that to whoever conjures harm like that, it will return 3 times fold. That's the only thing that gives me relief. To me, Nanely was an innocent casualty of their dad's girlfriend's wrath. It doesn't seem like they will be seeking retribution in the future and that they are trusting that karma will be in their favor. For their sake, I hope that's true. But I think they would have every right to show that woman not to mess with them or their family ever again. Thanks for joining me today. Send me an email at storieswithsapphire@gmail.com. And did you know that I offer bone and tarot readings? You can schedule a session at storieswithsapphire.com. Salamat and good night.